Okay, so I just wanted to jump on and talk about Johnny Chaos, really, and his chaos theory. If you've been on Crypto 7
Uh-huh.
recently,
So,
The Johnny Chaos theory.
just before the Pulse Chain launch,
so,
you
so this
had
is
Johnny
it,
going around
guys.
most of
It's
the
basically this.
YouTubers.
What gives something value? Now, if you ask your mainstream crypto influencer, they don't even understand where value comes from.
I think it's important to mention that mainstream influencers get paid to sell you that product. So they don't actually care. They don't really look into a lot of the actual cryptos. Some of them do actually look into them, but they don't tell you about the ones they actually think are going to do good. They tell you about the ones they get paid to look at. And I think it's really important to realize that people in Hex aren't actually paid. Richard Hart isn't going out paying people to promote Hex. That Hex is
I'm
decentralized.
going to explain it very simple to you.
Cool.
Where does value come from? Value comes from a thing being paired to another thing. How many things can you buy for your thing? Even if you look at a $100 bill and a $10 bill, well, a $10 bill is worth 1/10 of a $100 bill. Why? Same paper, right? Same size, same everything, different picture. But this one allows you to get 10 $1 bills, and the other one allows you to get $100 bills. Okay. That
Okay.
is where value comes from, is because a thing is equivalent to how many things you can get with it. Okay. So that's why a $100 bill has more purchasing value, because its unit is a dollar.
So money basically only has value because the government tell you it has value. The government tell you how much your money's worth.
Okay. So now if you pair rocks and seashells or chips and tokens, it doesn't matter. If you set a pool where this number equals this number, because you have all the supply in the world and you can fill the buckets however you want, what happens is, if you control the supply, you get to set those ratios. And if you set those ratios can be law, because all of that dormant capital that is not being utilized can create those bonds and those pairings. Now, the thing is, I don't see a reason why not to set up the candy store to benefit the things that you want if you have the ability to do so.
So I think it's important to realise that there are quite a lot of people in Pulse Chain, in Hex, that are actually able to do this. There are some really big players that are moving in and out of Hex all the time, and now that Pulse Chain's launched, eyeballs are on the project. They're ready to go, and moves are being made already that are life changing for a lot of people. So I think Johnny's onto it here, and I think if you're looking at the dexes now and the prices, you can see what's about to happen. You can see it's already happening, and yeah, just keep an eye out for it.
I can't think of a rational reason to do that. And what happens is, for instance, if you
Do you mean
wanted
not
to
to
keep,
not to do it? You mean you can't think of a reason
I
not
can't,
to?
no, I can't think of a reason not to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
why would you not utilize dormant capital that's absolutely doing nothing to set up liquidity pools that literally support an ecosystem that is unbreakable? And it costs you nothing to do it. It's taking things that you've already created, creating a ratio between them, and using that to support your network. And then taking the money that you raised and providing one liquidity pool, and everything else is a ratio based off of that ratio. So everything has a ratio to pulse. One hex is equal to 100 pulse. One PLS is equal to one pulse, or whatever. Everything is ratioed to pulse. Okay. Just like everything on the Ethereum network is ratioed to Ethereum. Okay. So when Ethereum's price moves, so do the things on top of Ethereum, because you can trade them for X amount of Ethereum. Okay. So when Pulse price moves, something that is paired to Pulse, you can trade one of them to 200 Pulse, means that thing now has a 200x multiplier. That's simple. Because if you can
I like
still
that, and I
trade
like
that,
the candy store. I like the candy store analogy. So you've got your PLS suites and your PLSX suites, and the guy who owns a candy store says, it's 3 PLSX suites for one PLS suite, and it's
yeah,
and it's
I
one
mean, it's
hex,
really just as
and it's
simple as that.
one hex for 50 of these PLS and 100 of these PLSX, and that's how it is, you know.
Yep. And
So
it's
you
just how it
can,
is. It's just math, guys. So you have Pulse that is paired with USDC at a very small amount, maybe 1/10 the sacrifice price. Okay. But you got $100 million there. So if everybody wants to sell their Pulse at 1/10 of the sacrifice price, they can, because there's all the liquidity that you need there. Actually, it only requires 1/10 of the sacrifice in order to support that pool to allow new buyers to come in and decide what the market wants to bear. But that supports it. It prevents it from ever going to zero, because we've already provided. That was the missing element. The missing element was the money to fund the initial liquidity. That's it. And we sacrificed for that. Okay. And because of that, those Pulse tokens will have a value linked with the primary liquidity pool. And as money comes in, it will find its own price. Okay. So it can't go to zero because there will be liquidity. It's already been provided.
I think I get that. I think I get that. So if somebody said, I don't value this PLE, these PLSX suites at all,
They sell it back to the
shop.
company.
The shop would say, well, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yes.
We'll have them then, you know.
So it's a buyback.
I think I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a buyback. And that, and look, companies have stock buybacks too. Okay.
So as we're making this now, Pulse Chain's launched, we've got the bridge out. The bridge is actually full. There's so many people trying to get onto Pulse Chain right now. It's unbelievable. So then where do we go from there? That we've now got that bridge going. We've got some faucets going, I think, that are paying out a little bit here and there, so people can start getting some gas transactions moving. What do you guys think? Obviously, Johnny's hit it on the head, I think. He's absolutely nailed it. I think it's going to be quite important what happens, so just keep your eyes out. And yeah, I think that was probably one of the better interviews going around. Obviously, Crypto 7 there.